There's a whole lot of inconsistency right now from the running back position, so who can we trust here in week 3? Let's talk about some running back start sits. What is going on, Headliners Nation? Hey, before I get into the show, I have a pretty cool offer for you guys. Our friends at FanPix are hooking up all you Fantasy Headliner fans with some freebies. If you sign up now for a free FanPix account, you'll get a $25 voucher for select DFS contests. It's quick, easy, all free, and no deposit is needed. Just go to rotoballer.com/FanPix and use the promo code BALLER25 to sign up. Every Sunday, we'll be hosting our DFS free roll contest called the Magic Million. You'll compete against other viewers and against me also. It's free to enter with cash prizes and no strings attached. You can check out the entire FanPix portfolio of DFS contests, including easy pick games, in-game contests, and so much more. Remember, just head to rotoballer.com/FanPix to claim your free $25 voucher and try to beat me in the Magic Million DFS free roll this week. Lineups lock at 1 p.m. Eastern. Good luck. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. We've braved the storm here in North Carolina. It's over with. Hurricane Florence is hopefully gone and not coming back. Definitely not as bad here at my house as it was at the coast, so lots of thoughts and prayers out to the families there dealing with all the destruction there on the coast. But yeah, made it through it, and now we're getting ready for some fantasy football. Back to some more enjoyable things than weather. Because I'm about sick of talking about weather. Don't want to talk about weather no more. So let's talk about some football. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some running backs. A lot of these big names at the top, they've just been inconsistent. They haven't been putting up big numbers. They may have good fantasy days because they're scoring touchdowns maybe, but the rushing stats aren't there. It's just a big headache here the first 2 weeks. But let's dive into week 3, find out who we can trust and who we can't. As soon as this show is over, then make sure you head over to the RotoBaller channel. Make sure you're subscribed over there, also with your notifications on. That Sunday live show has been a hit. Tons of viewers here the past 2 weeks. All your last-minute start, sit advice, roster advice, waiver pickups, weather reports, last-minute injuries, and players who aren't going to be playing. We cover it all there on Sunday mornings. Make sure you're subscribed over there. But for now, let's go rapid-fire running backs for week 3. I got a whole bunch of them. Similar style as last week, right? You guys really enjoyed the rapid-fire, lots of names, not just the 6 names, and then you don't even get to hear about your player. I listened to your comments, though. One of the comments was, can we keep them in order of matchups so we're not jumping back and forth? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through each matchup this week really quick, give you a start-sit designation for the running backs in that game, and we'll move on. If you have any other questions, make sure you ask them below. Over 5,000 questions again last week. There's no way I can get to all of them. Make sure you guys are helping each other out, and I will respond to as many as humanly possible here over the next few days. But let's start talking about some running backs, kicking it off with the Thursday night game. All right, so on Thursday night, we got the Jets at the Browns. We'll be talking about Isaiah Crowell and Carlos Hyde. Right now, I have Crowell as a sit, and it's mostly because of the inconsistencies in that offense. They're still trying to learn their identity under Sam Darnold. And as of right now, it looks like Quincy Enunwa and Terrell Pryor are the playmakers in that offense. It's not that Crowell is going out there and underperforming. It's just that he could be inconsistent. He's not somebody I want to trust this week. Now, if you don't have a choice, I would play him as a flex play at best, but just limit the upside. The Cleveland defense is much improved. Now, Carlos Hyde, on the other hand, has been somebody who's been pretty consistent. He's not putting up huge numbers, but he is the number 1 running back in Cleveland, and he does get all the goal line carries. He's a solid RB2 for you week in and week out. The Jets' defense is no slouch, but Carlos Hyde is going to have the opportunity. If you're looking for an RB2 in your lineup, I trust Carlos Hyde this week, and I have him as a start. Moving over to the Sunday games now, first one we have on the list here is going to be the Saints at the Falcons. So obviously we're talking Alvin Kamara and now Tevin Coleman for the Falcons. Devontae Freeman will not be in the game. Tevin Coleman remains there, the starter in Atlanta. And as long as he is the starter in Atlanta, he is a must start. He is a solid running back 2 with running back 1 upside going up against a New Orleans team who has a pretty high-powered offense, which we didn't really see last week against the Browns. Now, Atlanta's defense is a little weaker. They're banged up on the defensive side of the ball. Drew Brees should have a little bit easier time throwing it this week. That bodes well for Alvin Kamara also, who I also have as a start, obviously. He may not be running the ball a whole lot. I mean, the dude has, 75 yards through 2 games rushing, but he also has 15 receptions, and that's where you're going to make your money with Alvin Kamara. We never really expected him to have a huge 1,000-yard-plus season rushing. We knew something could be coming receiving-wise. Both of these guys are must-starts for me this week. Green Bay and Washington next up on the list. So we got the Packers at the Redskins, and this is the return of Aaron Jones for the Packers. So we got Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams on one side and Adrian Peterson, Chris Thompson on the other side for Washington. The whole situation with Green Bay, it's going to take a few weeks to iron out. We really don't know who's going to take the job for the Packers. They need to protect Aaron Rodgers, and the best protection they have is Jamal Williams. They also need to establish a run game. The best chance they have at doing that is Aaron Jones. It's going to be a mixture of these guys, and until we figure it out, I'm not trusting either one of them. I'm sitting both Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. As far as Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson go for the Washington Redskins, it was nice to see Aaron Rodgers out there for Green Bay last week. It looks like he'll play again, and he'll have to play through a little bit of discomfort, but it's still Aaron Rodgers, and he can still put up points. Adrian Peterson struggled last week against the Colts, and I can see Washington having to go to the pass early to keep up with the Aaron Rodgers-led offense. That bodes well for Chris Thompson. I can see a fairly decent game for Chris Thompson this week, probably somewhere in the area of 7 to 9 receptions and close to triple-digit total yardage. I'm starting Chris Thompson this week, but Adrian Peterson for me is going to be a sit. The run defense is a little bit stiffer for the Green Bay Packers, and they may be trailing and being forced to having to throw the ball. I'm going to sit Adrian Peterson. All right, let's talk about the Colts and the Philadelphia Eagles this week. So we'll be talking about a laundry list of running backs here for the Colts. I mean, you got Jordan Wilkins, Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's like Santa's Christmas list with no presents is what it's like there in Indianapolis. But how do you figure out which ones to start and which one to sit? It's easy. You just sit all of them again. We don't know. Every week it's going to be something different. They're going to ride the hot hand. And until somebody develops a role in this offense, I'm sitting every running back for Indianapolis. Philadelphia, on the other hand, is a team we need to pay attention to. They get Carson Wentz back this week. Problem is Carson Wentz has very few people to throw the ball to since they're all hurt. And speaking of hurt, let's talk about Jay Ajayi. How banged up is he? He did leave the game last week. He did come back also and run for a touchdown. When he got hurt, we all got scared and figured we needed to go pick up Corey Clement. And then Ajayi came back. This is Ajayi's backfield. He's going to get the goal line touches. The only issue with him is he's made up of like wet tissue paper. Like, it's not very strong. How long is it going to last? But as long as he's healthy, as long as he's playing, and as long as he's running behind one of the top offensive lines in football, I'm going to start Jay Ajayi. Just make sure you monitor his status here throughout the week to make sure that he doesn't have any lingering issues going into Sunday. Heading out to Minnesota, where the Bills will be facing the Minnesota Vikings, and this one is going to be ugly. First for the Buffalo Bills, you got Shady McCoy and his rib issue. You got Chris Ivory. And if you have to rely on either one of these guys, I'd like to offer my condolences. I am sorry. You do not want to start anybody from the Buffalo Bills in fantasy football for the foreseeable future. If you have to, kind of plan on losing that week, or at least getting a 0 from that spot, because none of these guys are going to be overly productive, especially with Shady dealing with a rib issue that only hurts this offense more, and they're already the second worst offense in football. I'm sitting both running backs, no matter what the injury news that comes back on Shady McCoy. Him and Chris Ivory are both sitting the pine for me. As far as Dalvin Cook goes, Dalvin Cook is somebody who's underperformed here, and there's a lot of people freaking out about it. There's a lot of people ready to jump off the Dalvin Cook bandwagon. Don't do it yet. This could be the week that he absolutely breaks out again. Buffalo has one of the worst run defenses in football, and they just gave up 3 touchdowns to Melvin Gordon. Austin Eckler had averaged 7 yards a carry. This is not a very good Buffalo team. Dalvin Cook could get, the most touches he's seen all season, and that offense in general, led by Kirk Cousins, looks great. I mean, Kirk Cousins had 50 fantasy points almost in some leagues last week, and those are huge numbers. Now, yes, he was going up against an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, and that's not quite what he'll have to do against Buffalo, but I expect a lot of second half running, Dalvin Cook being the one that get the most of it. I like him this week. On our way down to Miami now, where the Raiders are going to be facing the Dolphins, so we'll be talking about Marshawn Lynch and Kenyon Drake. First, for Marshawn Lynch, he's going to be a start for me this week. He's faced 2 of the toughest run defenses in football the first 2 weeks, and still come out with double-digit points in both games. Now the schedule starts to get a little bit easier for him. He's already the clear lead back in Oakland. It's a top offensive line, a top 10 offensive line here in football, and now he gets to go down to Miami, who's actually playing pretty good. But are they the same as the Rams and the Broncos as far as run defense? They're not even close. If Marshawn Lynch can go out there and get you 15 to 18 carries, he can get you a highly productive RB2 day, and he's a definite start for me this week. Now, Kenyon Drake is somebody who I've kind of, hated on here the past few weeks. I'm just not on the Kenyon Drake bandwagon. I think he's, crazy talented. but he's just not given the full workload, and that part bothers me. Frank Gore won't go away. Frank Gore will be playing football till he is 87 years old, and he's pushing around one of those walkers with those tennis balls on the ends of them. That's going to be Frank Gore in a few years, and he's still going to be taking carries away from Kenyon Drake, which is irritating. However, I like Kenyon Drake this week. It's a good matchup up against the Raiders. Both these teams are slightly underrated on the offensive side of the football. Neither of them are great, but they have the potential to have great offensive games. And Kenyon Drake is going to be the main beneficiary of that this week. I have Kenyon Drake as a start. And I have him actually as an RB2, not even in the flex spot. So he's moving up my ranks. All right, next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll start off with the Denver Broncos talking about Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay. Now, Royce Freeman has done nothing but irritate a bunch of people, but it's not Royce Freeman's fault. Royce Freeman does not suck. He doesn't. He's just not getting the ball enough. He's having to share with Phillip Lindsay, who is absolutely killing it right now. Nobody expected Phillip Lindsay to be getting 14, 15 carries a game. The bulk of that was supposed to go to Royce Freeman, who is averaging over 5 yards a carry. But being that Phillip Lindsay is so involved in the pass catching back, I'm going to sit Royce Freeman this week. Phillip Lindsay, on the other hand, has high upside in an offense that is more than willing to use him more than anybody thought. He's going to be a start as a flex play for me this week, and I expect him to continue the early season run that he's on right now, like Phillip Lindsay. Now we'll talk about Alex Collins, and Alex Collins has people out there pulling their hair out. But once again, it's just like Royce Freeman. Alex Collins is not playing bad football. He's just not getting the touches. The game script the past 2 weeks has really limited the amount of touches he can get, and then you got Uncle Buck Allen out there stealing goal line carries, which we hate, but he's been the goal line back there for 2 years. The good thing about it is Collins did get a goal line opportunity. He didn't convert on it, but at least they gave him the ball. He's been playing great, and there's already reports come out that they need to get him more involved. However, until I see that, until I can see him in the mid-double digits there, right around 15 carries a game, this week, I hate to say it, but I'm sitting Alex Collins in hopes that they can get him going here because he could be a huge second-half value for your fantasy football team. Let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals going to be playing at Carolina against the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is not Joe Mixon, remember, people. He is now going to be out for a few weeks, and it's the Gio Bernard show. And I don't know how much of a show it's going to be. Gio is not exactly a three-down back, and Carolina's run defense is pretty solid. They did just give up a 100-yard game to Kevin Coleman, but Gio Bernard is not that type of guy where he's going to go get you 15 to 20 carries a game. I expect a lot more throwing from Cincinnati while Joe Mixon is out. And I'm going to sit Gio Bernard. I know right now he's a high waiver claim, and some of you guys are going to spend a lot of your fab budget on him. It's just not the greatest matchup for him this week, and I got him as a sit. Now, Christian McCaffrey, on the other hand, is basically a must-start every week. I don't really care who he plays. It doesn't matter what defense he plays. He's so involved in the pass game. I don't care who's on the opposite side playing defense. They're going to put him in space. They're going to give him the opportunity. They're going to give him the most touches in the backfield. Christian McCaffrey is a must-start every week. Now we're going out to Houston for the New York Giants at the Houston Texans. So we'll be talking about Saquon Barkley and Lamar Miller. Now, Saquon Barkley is almost a must-start every week. And yes, he's not putting up huge numbers rushing. But that was no fluke, the amount of receptions he had last week against Dallas. And I expect similar numbers here again this week against the Texans. Eli Manning looks like he's seen a ghost every time you've seen him. He constantly looks dazed and confused and is just running for his life right now. What does that lead to? More check down throws to Saquon Barkley, and he's got the ability to break a big one at any time. He's a start for me this week. Now, Lamar Miller is somebody who's never going to be very flashy. He's not going to go out there and put up huge numbers. We've talked about this before. He is a solid low-end RB2 week in and week out. Now with Will Fuller hopefully healthy to be paired up with DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully this offense can start to move forward and get back to something similar that they were last year. That's only going to help Lamar Miller out, give him more running lanes and more opportunities. Lamar Miller is also a start for me this week. Now we got the Tennessee Titans going down to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. So we have Derrick Henry, Dion Lewis, and the mixture of Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon. Starting off with Tennessee, though, Derrick Henry it was nice to see him get the bulk of the touches this past week. He just didn't do anything with it. He's averaging less than 3 yards a carry, and Dion Lewis, despite getting less volume this week, was more productive and more efficient. That's going to continue. Dion Lewis is the running back to start in this backfield for Tennessee, especially with Marcus Mariota out and Blaine Gabbert under center. He's also going to be checking down a lot, and they're going to be trailing more than likely. Dion Lewis is the one who will be more involved here for the weeks to come until Marcus Mariota can come back and this offense can get back on his feet. So I'm going to sit Derrick Henry and start Dion Lewis. Now we got the backfield duo of Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon. We still don't know the health status of Leonard Fournette. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Is he going to play? Is he not? We don't know yet, and we probably won't know till the end of the week. If you have TJ Yeldon and Leonard Fournette sits, TJ Yeldon is a start this week as a flex play with RB2 upside. Now, Leonard Fournette, if he plays, if he goes through all week of practice and is limited, I'm still going to sit Leonard Fournette this week. I can't see Jacksonville going out there and pushing him in a game that they should probably win easily against the Tennessee Titans. I kind of expect them to sit Leonard Fournette, give the full workload to TJ Yeldon again, and have him have a solid week. So right now, Fournette's a sit, Yeldon's a start, and we're going from there. Going out to Kansas City now, where the San Francisco 49ers will be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll start with San Francisco, talking about Alfred Morris and Matt Breida. Now, Alfred Morris has been underwhelming at best. Yeah, he's been getting touches every week, but he hasn't been doing anything with it. Matt Breida, on the other hand, has been very explosive, way more productive, and is going to start earning more touches in that backfield. Now, they are going against Kansas City, who did a great job of containing James Conner last week, but Matt Breida's pass-catching ability separates him from Alfred Morris. I'm going to sit Alfred Morris this week, and I'm going to start Matt Breida as a flex play. Now, for Kareem Hunt on the opposite side there in Kansas City, that offense is ridiculous under Patrick Mahomes. It's going to start opening up things more for Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has had a couple tough matchups, but this is the week that I can see them actually utilizing Kareem Hunt on the ground. San Francisco does not have the best run defense in football, and it's kind of hard just to stop the Chiefs, right? You can't play against the run, they'll beat you with the pass. You can't play against the pass, they'll beat you with the run. One of the best overall teams in football right now, and I'm going to start Kareem Hunt this week. Let's go to the Battle of Los Angeles. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Los Angeles Rams. Kind of weird saying one of them is at the other. It's like a double home game. Double homer. We're going to call it a double homer in LA. Starting off with the Chargers of Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, both who have looked great to start the season. You got the touchdowns coming from Gordon, the yardage coming from Austin Eckler. He's heavily involved in the offense. Both of these guys are being utilized amazingly, and that is now a word, amazingly, in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers, draws the defenders outside the box because of his weapons that he has on the outside. However, this is one of the toughest run defenses, if not the toughest run defense in all of football with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm starting both Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. Eckler as a flex only against this defense, just for the upside alone of the Chargers. Just temper your expectations a little bit. It could be a long day in Los Angeles. Now, on the opposite side of the Chargers is Todd Gurley with the Rams, and you will never sit Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley has a pulse, if he is breathing, if he is in shoulder pads, he is starting for your fantasy football team. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Seattle Seahawks. We'll start off with the Cowboys and Zeke Elliott. Listen, if you have Zeke Elliott, you're starting Zeke Elliott. I know you're not happy with the start that he's had to the year, but he's not playing that bad. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry. He's just not getting the amount of carries that he needs to put up those big Ezekiel Elliott-type games. The Cowboys are starting to realize this. They're going to start feeding him the ball more, and these numbers should start increasing. Obviously, you're starting Ezekiel Elliott. For the Seahawks, though, you got Rashad Penny and Chris Carson. Now, it looks like Penny is slowly starting to eat into the work of Chris Carson, and that only makes it even worse for fantasy players because now you really don't want either one of them. It's closer to a 50-50 split. The offensive line is horrible in Seattle. They have no room to run. They're usually in a negative game script. That may change a little bit because Dallas has struggled to score the ball also this year. This could just be an overall ugly game, and there's no real clear-cut running back in Seattle. I'm going to sit both Rashad Penny and Chris Carson this week until we can figure out what's going on and who the lead guy will actually be. Now we have the Chicago Bears at the Arizona Cardinals. Starting off with Chicago, you have Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen had a slight ankle injury there, but sounds like he'll be fine for week 3, and Jordan Howard wasn't too productive on Monday night against the Seahawks. But they're playing the Arizona Cardinals. There is a guy outside my house right now cutting down a tree that fell during Hurricane Florence. If I had a set of shoulder pads, I would put him in the game for the Chicago Bears and have him run against the Arizona Cardinals. That's how bad the defense is. Jordan Howard is a must start. Tariq Cohen, as long as he practices all week and as long as he's not limited by the ankle injury, I am also starting Tariq Cohen as a flex this week against, like I said, an Arizona Cardinals defense that is laughable at best. They can't stop anybody. Whoever starts against the Cardinals, I'm starting him. On the other side of the ball, though, you have David Johnson, and people are starting to freak out about David Johnson, and I kind of am starting to freak out about David Johnson too. It's not so much David Johnson's fault, it's the fact that he's not even being targeted in the pass game now. That makes no sense. 1 target last week for David Johnson, a guy who's capable of going out there and catching 80 to 90 balls on a team that has no offensive weapons outside of Larry Fitzgerald, and you're going to give the dude 1 target? What is going on in Arizona? Some of the worst play calling I've seen. I fully expect Josh Rosen to be under center here shortly. Whether that's a huge improvement or not, I don't even know. That offensive line doesn't look good. The defense doesn't look... the food at the food court looks good for the Cardinals, but that's about it. I'm going to sit David Johnson this week, as much as it hurts me to do it. All right, now we're going to head out to Detroit and talk about the New England Patriots at the Detroit Lions. If there's almost a team as bad defensively against the run as the Arizona Cardinals, it's the Detroit Lions. And Sony Michel just had his first NFL game last week, out-touched Rex Burkhead from the backfield, which was kind of a surprise. I fully expect them to give him more and more work each week. And if we can find an actual lead running back for the New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, with the new addition of Josh Gordon, who I don't expect a whole lot from in week 1, if they can get things going, Sony Michel's value could skyrocket in this offense. I am starting Sony Michel this week against a weak Detroit run defense. I'm also starting Rex Burkhead. It's kind of like with Arizona. If you got somebody, just start him against the Lions. Now, I expect Rex Burkhead to not be so active in the run game, but he should see, a few receptions there in the pass game and always has that opportunity at a touchdown. Now for the Lions. You got LeGarrette Blount and Kerryon Johnson. And until one of these guys emerges as a clear-cut running back, I'm sitting both of them. I want nothing to do with the backfield. They're constantly trailing and having to throw. All 3 of those receivers are going to get close to 1,000 yards this year if they stay healthy. And I want nothing to do with the Detroit run game. I'm benching both Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount. For the Monday night game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are now all of a sudden one of the best teams in football. Nobody really saw that coming. Ryan Fitzmagic is out there, strutting around with gold chains and chest hair. That's just a new level of cocky. And now they get the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. And James Conner struggled slightly on the ground last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm going to have him as a start this week. The only issue we have with James Conner is if Tampa Bay can once again come out hot in the first quarter and put up some first quarter points, putting Pittsburgh in a situation where they have to throw more, that could hurt James Conner's value. But where you have him on your roster, he's probably only a flex play anyway. If you can keep him there in the flex, more power to you. I'm going to start James Conner. Now, Peyton Barber, on the other hand, I want nothing to do with. Peyton Barber is getting the volume, and I usually tell you guys, I want the volume. If you give me the volume, you're going to get the fantasy points. Well, he's not doing it. He's averaging like nothing. It's borderline laughable. Almost as funny as some shows on YouTube telling you to draft Ronald Jones in the 3rd round. That's how funny this is. There's no run game in Tampa Bay. And with Fitzmagic going the way he is, throwing the ball all over the place, they're going to continue that. It's working for them. They figure out a way to make it work, and they're going to continue to throw the ball a lot in Tampa Bay. I'm not starting Peyton Barber. So those are my start sits here for the week, for week 3 for the running back position. And I try to break down each game, win in order for you, trying to help you out, make it a little bit more organized. I'm trying my best to get to all the comments in the comment section. These videos are absolutely blowing up. People love how I cover more than just 6 players like a lot of channels do. And I love to do it, but it makes it a lot more work. So if you have questions, make sure you hit them up down below and help each other out. Answer each other's questions. Help each other find the right decisions. I will answer as many as I possibly can. I am the most active fantasy football YouTuber out there as far as, interacting with you guys and trying to get answers and trying to help out. Trying to do a live show also here towards the end of the week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure that notification is on. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Have a good one.